I am back yet again to discuss tonight's breaking developments surrounding a surprise new striker target, and this time we are holding talks with Atletico Madrid for their young Spaniard in Samu Omorodion. Boy, this club's got me working tonight, man. I'm doing absolute graveyard shifts, but I have to do it because I love working. I like having these conversations with you guys, and of course, I love my audience, and I'm glad that you guys have always backed me over the years, and it always means a lot. So it's the least I can do. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoy today's videos. Enjoy today's videos throughout the day as well too. Hit that like button, show us some love, and let's get straight into things. Tonight, news was first broken by Omorodion, and Omorodion does not get enough rep when it comes to breaking stories first, because every time he reports something, it's correct. Tonight, he revealed that we had a bid turned down of around 40 million euros for Atletico Madrid striker in Samu Omorodion, but we continue to hold talks to try and find a move. Romano came through and reported that this was a 30 million bid plus add-ons, which took the overall package to around 40 million euros. Now, who exactly is this kid that we're looking to spend big money on? Well, last season he was at loan at Deportivo Alaves, where he scored around 9 goals in 35 appearances on loan from Atletico Madrid. Does this mean that we say goodbye to John Duran? Well, not necessarily, because one thing we cannot forget was that even when we were making attempts with John Duran, we did not close the door down to other striker targets, and I think tonight's news confirms this, because at the meantime, talks are still open for John Duran, but we don't yet have that contract agreement with the player, and I'm only basing this on the reports coming out tonight. Have we even necessarily agreed the full package worth £40 million with Aston Villa to get this deal done? I'm not too sure. And that cynical part of me thinks to myself, are tonight's reports around Omorodion simply there just so we can try and reduce the asking fee for John Duran? Because we're letting Aston Villa know, listen, don't think we're desperate for your man. Don't think all our eggs are in this John Duran basket. There's other players we're looking at, and we'll happily turn to them if the price ain't right. Now, taking things back to sterling currency, we've bid around 25 million with add-ons taking this deal to around 30 million pounds. That's been confirmed now. This comes from Matt Law, but naturally, Atletico Madrid value him a lot higher than 30 million. And that's for very good reason, because Atletico Madrid literally signed this guy at the start of last season after his first professional game in football, when Atletico Madrid beat Granada 3-1. And during that game, Omorodion scored the equalising goal at the time. He caused Atleti's defence so many issues, so much danger, so much havoc, so much chaos. And after that game, in which Diego Simeone witnessed what Omorodion is about and what he could be, he told Atletico Madrid, buy this guy for me right now. I need him here. And in the space of no time, they activated his 6 million release clause from Granada to sign him and get that deal done. So there's no way they'll be looking to sell him for such a small fee, considering they believe big time in his potential. Also, why would Omorodion necessarily want to leave Atletico Madrid when he hasn't even played for them? When you consider things like Memphis Depay leaving them and the fact that Morata could potentially leave, this might be the perfect opportunity now to cement yourself with Atletico Madrid and make something happen. Now, Atletico have already turned down a bid of around 35 million, which came from West Ham. So if our bid's a little bit less than this West Ham bid, why would Atleti accept bids less than what they've rejected? They don't really add up. It don't make sense, but there's only two possible things I can think of at this point in time. And I'm not here to say I'm an expert. I just try and think about some of these things with a bit more depth. My first thing is, could Conor Gallagher be offered as a makeshift in this deal? Because as we know, Atletico Madrid have been paying big attention towards Conor Gallagher, and in my opinion, I think he is the most Simeone Atletico Madrid player of recent memory, because like his whole game typifies what Atletico Madrid are about. Hard work, mentality, plays at tempo, plays forward, aggressive, winner. It was reported that we already turned down an approach from Atletico Madrid over the potential signing of Conor Gallagher, and that came in the form of two offers. One was a loan move, which we said no to, and the other was an offer that we don't know what the amount was, but it was at a much reduced fee compared to the £50 million we're hoping some club is going to pay for a player who's set to be on the final year of his contract. It doesn't really make sense. Unless, based on the timing of both of these reports coming out, is there a potential makeshift where Gallagher could go in the other direction and Omorodion comes our way? Because I think we could be open to Gallagher leaving, because I think Andre Santos now doesn't want to go back to Strasbourg. When he signed for us to make it at this football club. But as I keep saying, his pathway to first team football always stop at the moment because Conor Gallagher replaces him in the team right now. It's just how it is. So unless Gallagher goes and unless there is an option open in midfield again, I just don't see Andre Santos coming back right now because it's too risky. And I think the best thing for his career is just consistent minutes. So let's see if something comes from this. Could Gallagher be open to moving to Madrid? I mean, I can imagine him in his ponytail soaking up that vitamin D in sunny Madrid quite easily. I think his missus would be pretty happy living that lifestyle too. Who knows? And competitively, they do offer high level football that would potentially attract him. Let's see what happens. Or option 2 is, this is a whole fugazi and we're literally doing this to apply serious pressure on Aston Villa and John Duran to make something happen now, because we know we're focusing on Olise, we have to, because the Sharks are circling, the competition is rising. But ideally, Maresca says he wants a striker in right now. He needs 2 strikers for next season, not just Nico Jackson. So the club has to put in some work now. With the player preferring to remain with Atletico Madrid, and talks that this guy could potentially sign a contract extension before he's even played a game for Atleti, with a new release clause valued around 120 million euros attached. I think everything is working perfectly in this guy's favour right now. I mean, what an incredible start to life at a professional level. He's had all of Europe after him, from Milan to German clubs to Prem clubs. This kid is a big talent. As I keep saying, would it surprise me if this was a pressure tactic towards Aston Villa, because they need to sell someone before the 30th of June. If they don't do that, they could then fall foul of, you know, not meeting profit and sustainability rules, and they'll be hit with a punishment financially or even point tallies. So there's literally like less than 2 weeks left before this month ends, and Aston Villa needs to sell someone. Luiz hasn't left yet, and they need to sell before they can buy. So let's watch this space. Still, there's a lot to unpack with the story, so let's continue this conversation from a different angle, because I think one thing for certain, we clearly did not have a proper plan or vision for who you were set to sign for up front, because let's not forget all those months as the season was going on surrounding our efforts to sign Victor Osimhen. We were getting big reports from the heavy hitter journalists. These guys weren't playing around. We knew that we had agreed terms at the time already, but I think everything kind of went kaput the moment we couldn't secure Champions League football, because that then restricted us financially. And the moment that we couldn't really sell anyone in January, and then we haven't been able to sell anyone before June 2, I think this is clearly why we didn't have the finances to get this move over the line. So after spending so much time on your main number 1, what do you do for number 2? Well, I think we didn't have enough time for number 2, because some of the options we looked at, of course, Benjamin Sesko, a long-term target, one of the OG long-term targets under this new ownership. By the time we started showing interest again, this guy was closer and already at the time has agreed to signing a contract extension with a new release clause, and he's remaining at RB Leipzig. Imagine if we put the pressure on Sesko from the beginning of last season, instead of Victor Osimhen saying, listen, we believe in you, you're going to be our guy, we're going to wait for you, we know that you come at a very affordable fee, you're the guy we're turning to right now. If we had done something like that, I think the situation's a bit different in my opinion. And also there's interesting reports surrounding Dominic Solanke. Now it would be kind of mad to see like one of the OG Cobham stars coming back, and as he's like fully developed and matured, to come back now and be ready to take over that mantleship of being a Chelsea striker. But yet again, this guy has literally signed a contract extension with a 65 million release clause. There's no way in hell Bournemouth will risk losing their best player by far. That could potentially be the difference between staying in the Premier League and getting relegated if someone isn't exercising that full 65 million. Could we offer some players in exchange? Maybe, but then what type of players would Bournemouth want to turn to? Who knows? And I find the whole player exchange thing so complicated, so convoluted, and so unnecessary at times that it's not really the move. But imagine if he was like a serious candidate. You could have made a move for him before you agreed to signing any contract extension. Because if Solanke knew there was a possibility he could come to us for this season, do you think he's signing that deal with Bournemouth? Let's keep things real. And he could be that striker, that profile that maybe this team needs, that type of responsible buy, because he can play on the ground, hold the ball up, bring people in, aerial threat, great finishing. He's a good complete style type of forward, right? So it seems like we have moved on to plan Bs, and these plan Bs are players that can have that impact off the bench, that offer a different profile, a different threat. And I see exactly why we're moving for Samu, and I see exactly why all the profiles of strikers we've been turning towards are of a similar ilk. They're in that same family as striker, because the modern next gen striker for the top clubs now are the physical beasts, are the physical, imposing monster strikers that can outmuscle these skinny ass ball playing centre backs. It's kind of funny how football goes full circle, but that is clearly the strategy now for the big clubs. And if Haaland is like the creme de la creme of these absolute monsters up front, the next gen of these strikers are your Samu Omorodions, your Sergos, you know, your Fergusons, your Bonifaces, your Strand Larsens, you know, your Durants. These types of strikers, they're all 6 foot plus, explosive as hell, physically dominant, work stupidly hard off the ball, have an aerial threat, take their shots early, have incredible power behind their shots. These guys don't need much backlift, but most importantly, they have good footballing brains. There's not hundreds of these like 6'3+ beasts around up front in the market. There's only a few really good ones, and is it any surprise why you constantly see reports around strikers of this profile? Absolutely not. And I think this is why, in a way, it's an intelligent use of funds to go for the next big meta forwards in football. I want to end things on a bit of a different note to give you guys some food for thought, because I'm starting to see things a little bit differently. And personally, I'm so used to us signing the next big thing all the time that I just think to myself, realistically, are most of these next big things necessarily going to become that next big thing? Because we're paying premiums for young talent, and I can't imagine all these big money young buys are going to be worth double to triple their value over the course of their contract length. I don't see it working like that. How's that going to happen if you're fighting for competitive minutes as a potential backup striker? I think we've taken enough risk now with youth, and if this was a signing we were going to look to make maybe over the past 4 different windows, I'd be open to it. But after seeing us miss out on CL football, and after me understanding the major risk behind us missing out on CL football yet again, personally, I think it's time now to try and readdress the strategy and bring some balance. And I miss the days when we had those reliable forwards and your Remis, your Demba Bars, your Anelkas, even though he wasn't back up like that, but players that we signed from the Premier League that came with experience, that came at the right age, because they have the mentality to compete as a backup. They can understand their roles, they can look to lift the team, they offer a different personality, a different profile, and they can understand how to keep their form because they're at a more mature stage in their career. And it makes me think about one of the standout signings of last season, and that was Joselu of Real Madrid, because they signed a 33-year-old striker with a lot of experience, and it wasn't like this guy was banging in 20+ goals throughout his career before he signed for Madrid, like the kids think you have to do to be worth like having the standards to play for Real Madrid. No. He scored a very consistent, reliable amount of goals, playing his profile, playing as that target man. But last season for Madrid, in around 50 appearances, he got like 18 goals, 2 assists, and his 2 most defining goals came in that Champions League game against Bayern Munich when he scored 2 goals in the space of no time. That right there is a signing that you make because you want to win. You're going for the profile the team needs, not what the strategy needs, not what the business needs, but what the team actually needs, because they feed off and they support each other. And those goals alone against Bayern Munich made that entire move absolutely necessary. And this is what you need to have when you're actually playing football. It's hard for me to explain like the perspective in which I see the game sometimes. I still haven't found out the perfect way to like you know, execute my words and say them in an elegant manner, but there's just like this realistic perspective in which I see football now after watching it like for my whole life. And, you know, I look at Real Madrid as the pinnacle of football because they kind of understand and respect those values and principles and get how it works right. And I personally think that it's time for us to be a bit more responsible now, keep the rest of the money on more important positions, and maybe just go for that reliable guy that can come in and score you 10 goals, but those 10 goals are going to be key clutch goals that are going to matter and are going to help elevate the young players around them. So my friends, they're all my thoughts and opinions. That is the story today. Share yours, of course, and hopefully if you like the video, you'll hit that like button too. So my guys and girls and everyone else, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys all tomorrow. Cool.